Hi, thanks for getting this in. So just to be crystal clear, this is feedback on your title and content only. It's not feedback on draft work. So I'm just going to have a look at what you're intending to include in terms of your content and the order that you're doing it and your title. And I think the title is fantastic. It's slightly misleading because you've already said that there are inescapable misconceptions, which is somewhat leading. So you could just miss that out, or if not, in your introduction, just identify why you believe that there are inescapable misconceptions. So I won't read the narrative because that's draft work, but obviously introduction is fine. Terminology, absolutely include spectrum. I'm not sure why you would need commentary on women stroke girls, but definitely autistic as opposed to identity first language rather than person first. So I would change that bullet point to identity first versus person first terminology or language. Concept of a spectrum, absolutely. PNT, definitely. We, so if you're going to use the word we, then who does that refer to, as in a group of people or society or whatever it might be. So I would, I think the spectrum is here, so I would include the concept of a constellation as opposed to a spectrum there as well. What appears to be, oh, sorry, you've got functioning labels here as well. So I wouldn't have a new heading. I would include functioning labels under your terminology. So using intellectually high functioning, I think, is fine, but obviously there are problems with using functioning labels, so you would explore those here as well. Okay, so that all seems fine. Models of disability, that's great. Yep. So what is a medical model? What is a social model? Brilliant. What is a biopsychosocial model? Is absolutely fine. Now I know that you are struggling with word count, so you can just take out biopsychosocial model if you choose to, but actually if you're aligning with it, then it would be difficult to omit it actually. So that's fine. I would probably take out specificity. I don't think it's particularly useful in this context. So I would, in terms of your criteria, I'd use uniqueness and universality. Again, I would probably try and keep it to a minimum because you're struggling so much with the word count. So actually just having those two as opposed to the lived experience and as opposed to autistic authenticity, I would just take them out due to the word count. And you definitely don't need to discuss rates of suicide in this assignment because it doesn't particularly apply to any of the criteria. And as I say, you're already struggling with the word count, so try and keep it to a minimum. And then you've got theory of mind, executive functioning, which is great, and central coherence and monotropism. Now again, in terms of your word count, I would acknowledge executive functioning and central coherence very, very briefly, and then focus on theory of mind and monotropism in terms of your critique. Again, just try and keep your word count down, and then your conclusion. So in terms of your title and content, there's just a few comments there, but nothing major. I think you've included everything that needs to be included, and actually you've also included things that I think you could exclude, which might help with your word count. So I look forward to your 1,000-word draft whenever you're ready. But in the meantime, if you've got any queries based on this feedback, do let me know. Cheers.